What's up, good people, and welcome back to YouTube from scratch. And yesterday we talked a lot about, or we went over the process of kind of setting up our channel and making sure that we have all of our things filled out on our channel before we upload any videos. And we kind of briefly touched on some things to do before we, start making videos and start making content for our channel. And today we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about those things so that we can kind of get off on the right foot before we start just diving in and creating content. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing you really want to think about when making videos is for your new channel is your title and the title of your videos. And this is really going to revolve around what your channel is about and what the content you're trying to create is going to be about for the duration of your channel. So kind of your niche, you want to make sure that your titles always speak to your niche and kind of use that as a guide for your titles and don't deviate from that. One of the reasons I say don't deviate from that is that a lot of people make the mistake of, just creating a lot of different kind of content for their channels, getting their feet wet in a lot of different ways and a lot of different formats. And that's fine, as a learning mechanism and learning how to build a YouTube channel. But what happens is the YouTube algorithm doesn't understand your learning process. It really doesn't care about your learning process. It wants specific things so that it can serve videos to the right viewers. And that's one of the things you really want to understand about the YouTube algorithm and YouTube period is that it really has a focus on the viewer. Its main concern is what the viewer wants. What does the viewer want to look at? What does the viewer want to listen to? That's its main concern. So as a new content creator, if your goal is to kind of give the algorithm what it wants and to grow your channel, you want to be very clear about those things, about what is a viewer looking for. Which brings me to a great point. Focusing on search as a new content creator and focusing on searchable titles and videos is hands down one of the best things you can do on your channel to kind of build and start to get traction, because out of the gate no one knows who you are. I know a lot of people come to YouTube with the aspiration of becoming a big YouTube star, but when you first start, no one knows who you are. So, and the algorithm doesn't care who you are. So the only metric it has to go by is you really taking your titles into consideration and creating titles that are searchable, so that when somebody is typing in, hey, I want to find out how to tie a tie, the videos that will surface are people who put that in their title and descriptions and who have, created a large bank of videos around that specific topic, unless you're an early adopter. And that's one of the other things that is a really cool thing and, kind of a hard thing about YouTube is that if you are the early adopter, meaning is if you're the first person to do something, the algorithm will favor you for doing something first. So for instance, if you are the first person that created a video about tying a tie, then obviously you're going to have more of a top billing in the algorithm, specifically because you've had more time to get more views and rack up more of a base around, the customer for that particular search phrase or search term. So always keep that in consideration. And that's a good metric or a good thing for you to focus on, is that what titles what's missing on YouTube that I can bring value to. That's a good way to kind of just be as a creator who wants to grow a YouTube channel from that perspective. Always think in terms of what value can I provide that hasn't really been provided for the end viewer. And that can be something as simple as taking something that is existing and tweaking it enough where it provides more value. And that happens a lot on YouTube. That's why you have, a gazillion channels about making money online and they're still successful, because, the people who are successful and rising to the top are taking that same concept and doing something a little bit different to give it more value so that, it still is creating value for that specific content. So that is your title. Make sure that you're doing those things. The next thing you want to consider is your description. And just like your title, you want the same keywords to be in your description, because what that does, again, the YouTube algorithm is kind of a learning AI machine. It takes the things that you are giving it and it analyzes those things and it presents those things to its user base or to viewers that it wants to present it to. So making sure that you add the same verbiage that you have in your title, adding it to your description, and also talking about those things, saying those things inside of what your content is, will get you closer to being at the top of the pile when it comes to what people are searching for on YouTube. So those are some really key things to kind of take away with you today with this video. Is I want to make sure that my titles are things that are searchable, and make sure that my descriptions are things that include the same keywords and of what I'm talking about in my title, and that will get you closer. The other thing that you want to focus on before you upload any videos is your thumbnail. And I know this is talked about all the time, but it can't be stressed enough, because a lot of what people don't realize is that your thumbnail is your first line of offense when you're talking about someone discovering your channel, someone coming back to your channel and wanting to build with you. They have to click on it first. So if your thumbnail is not causing someone to click, then they're never going to discover you. So you have to really take care and take the initiative to spend some time there with those things, with your thumbnail, and spend a little bit more time than just throwing something together at the end of your video to kind of fit what your video is. No, really think about what is going to make someone click on my video and choose my video in the pile of all of these other videos. What is going to make someone choose what I have to offer? So that's very important. And there are a lot of tools that you can use to create those things. We talked about Canva in our last video, Photoshop. Some of these things have a higher learning curve, but a lot of the free tools online that you can use, they're easy to use. You can use them right out of the jacket, and they're not going to cause you a lot of grief. You just need to spend a little time with them and you'll be able to learn how to use them. So, and if there's anything that you guys want to learn that way in more detail, please do leave those asks down in the description box, or in the comment box, so we can kind of have that dialogue. And I have no problem with sharing knowledge that way. So if you have a specific thing that you want specific knowledge asks, please do ask. On to the next thing that is very, very important when in terms of before you start creating content, really think about your CPM and the titles and how all those things kind of fit together. I know we briefly talked about it in the last video, but I want to really talk a little bit more in detail about that in this video, and that is your CPM and what your content is really about. For those of you that really want to focus on building a channel that has a huge or a larger kind of revenue potential in the long run, you want to make sure that you are nailing down the right niche for your content, and really making sure that you are placing your content in a niche that is going to yield you the right CPM. Again, I mentioned that the ones that do stand out right now as a higher CPM, or anything in finance, anything in health, taking wellness, those things that kind of, enrich the person or around the person better, help a person better themselves from a self perspective. All those things have a higher CPM right now. So really take those in consideration when you're trying to build your channel, and, build a channel that is going to be profitable in the long run. Now, there are a lot of different ways to make money on YouTube now. And you don't have to specifically just focus on, the AdSense dollars, but I just want to use that as a first metric of, how we're going to monetize this channel, and monetize, hopefully, to help you monetize your channels going forward. is, the AdSense dollars. You want to think about, the CPM and, all the technical things that, go along with ensuring that, the ad dollars that your channel is able to generate is high and, to the par of what you want it to be. So having said that, I think we're going to go forward with our next video. We're going to be talking about in more detail the actual, video process and upload process, and how we're going to get, videos out the door and look at our analytics of the couple videos that we are posting, or we have posted, like we posted our last video, and we'll be talking about that. We'll be looking at the analytics, talking about maybe this video, if we kind of see some analytics on that, and really just diving deep into the traction of what's happening on this channel so that you can see how those things play out and how the algorithm is going to play out over time, and really see the growth of this channel. So in every video, we're going to do that. We're going to go over, how that plays into what we're doing, because that's what's important to me. I want you guys to really see, how the algorithm favors your actions or not, depending on what you do, what steps you take, and what you're really paying attention to. So takeaways right now, your homework, definitely if you're just getting started, or even if you have an existing channel, go back and look at your titles. Make sure your titles are up to snuff. Make sure that your descriptions are matching your titles, and what you're talking about is matching your descriptions and your titles, just from a language standpoint, because you'll find that even for existing channels, if you really take a look at those things, you might be wondering why, like you might have an existing channel that's wondering why you aren't growing as much. If you really take a look at those things and really begin to look at, did I make sure that all of those things were together, like in sync, my title, my description, and what I'm talking about, so that the algorithm is reading those things as a cohesive vision to put in front of someone else. If you really start to think about those, you'll understand why you're either growing or not growing with certain videos and the lot. So, let's get to it. And I think it's going to be a great week. We're going to take a look at a lot of things, and we'll definitely see you in the next one.